Okay. Parashat Noah. Beshem Hashem Naaseh Venatzliach. So this shiur is dedicated to all wounded soldiers for refuah shelema and wounded civilians and hostages. May Hashem bring back the hostages safe and sound, and the soldiers too. And this shiur is Le'ilui Nishmat, all those soldiers and civilians that have been killed in this war. And may the zechut of Rabbi David Moshe, whose Hilula is today, may his zechut protect the soldiers, Eretz Israel, and Jews all over the world. So, in this week's parasha, Rabbi Raphael Shimshon Hirsch starts by telling us that Noah was Ish Tzaddik. Actually, the Torah says, right? Ish Tzaddik, Ish Tamim, Bedorotav, in his generation. The generation of Noah was a wicked generation. People made fun of him, they mocked him, yet Noah, it says, Hitalech Noach et ha'elokim, that Noah actually followed Hashem. And because he followed Hashem, he had a future. And his generation, people of his generations, unfortunately, they had no future. But he did. Why? Because he followed Hashem. Noah was 500 years old when finally he decided that to have a wife, to take a wife and have a family. And he did that only after he was told that there was going to be a Mabul coming to the world. Hashem was going to destroy the world. The next few pesukim describe the world as it was then. ותמלא הארץ חמס, ותשחט הארץ לפני האלוקים, ותמלא הארץ חמס. The world, the world here doesn't mean just the land. The world was full of corruption. It was corrupted, and it was filled with wrongdoings. Hamas, interesting that the Palestinians took as their name the word Hamas, which means corruption. So instead of thriving and leading a proper life, the generation was doing exactly the opposite. When there is corruption, there is no progress. It is a path that leads to destruction. Immorality leads to ruin. Open robbery, dishonesty, lack of consciousness, until it becomes the normal thing to do. Everyone was doing it. Whatever Hashem had put into the world to help mankind lead a solid, good, honest life was used for corruption, with corrupt morals. But we know Hashem is Emet, and Hashem cannot stand corruption. Hamas. Hashem cannot stand that. The world could not continue as it was. Hashem did not create this world for it to go corrupt. Then Hashem decided that it has to start all over again. So in the Navi Yeshaya, the flood is known as Me Noah, Hamayim Shel Noah, the waters of Noah. So the obvious question is, why is it called Me Noah? Should have been Me Hamabul or Me Hamas, not Me Noah. Why is Noah's name associated with the Mabul? And the answer is that he himself, Noah, was a very good man. But when Hashem told him that he was bringing the flood, Noah was asked, "What about me?" Hashem told him, "I'm bringing the flood to destroy this world. This world is full of corruption." Noah said, "What about me? Right? And my family?" Hashem said, "Don't worry, you'll be saved." And that was the end of the conversation. Noah did not even attempt. He did not even try, not even once, to change the Gezerah. How could he have changed the Gezerah? By praying. But as long as he was saved, that is all that matters. So when we think back and we compare Noah with Abraham, when Hashem told Abraham that he was going to destroy the world, Sodom and Amorah, and the five cities that were around Sodom and Amorah, right away Abraham started to pray. Maybe there are 50 tzaddikim. Hashem, no, there are not. Oh, okay, maybe there are 45 tzaddikim. No. Maybe there are 40 tzaddikim. No. Maybe 30, maybe 20, maybe 10. Hashem, you be the 10th one. Look how hard Abraham tried to save these wicked people. Noah did not try, not even once. We learn about Moshe. When Hashem said to Moshe, "I am going to destroy Ben Israel because of the Chet HaEgel, because of the golden calf. I am going to wipe them out," Hashem said. "And from you, Moshe, I'm going to start a new nation." Moshe should have felt very, wow, so my Hashem's giving me such honor. But what did Moshe say? Absolutely not, Hashem. I don't agree. Not only that I don't agree. If that's what you want to do, necheni na misifrecha. Remove my name from your sefer, from the Torah. No, I don't agree. And he prayed for 40 days and 40 nights non-stop until Hashem said, Salachti kidvarecha. So we see here how there was such a big difference between these tzaddikim. To the point that the Gemara actually calls Noah Ro'eh Tipesh, uh, a silly leader, a leader who is not smart, a leader who is not really thinking of his people. Because he did not think of others and he did not pray for the others. So in a way, Noah is responsible for the flood since he did not pray for them, and therefore the flood is called Me Noah. Then when Noah came out, he stayed in the Teva for a full year. He had a very hard time taking care day and night of those animals. Some animals eat during the day, some animals eat at night. Different animals eat different things. So it didn't have, it really wasn't a vacation for Noah. But when he came out, and Hashem gave him permission to come out, Noah was in a terrible shock. The world was deserted. There was no one else in the world except for him, his wife, his children, and their wives. He became very depressed. This is not the world that he knew before the flood. Because he became depressed, which actually was his choice to become depressed. We know that he offered korbanot to Hashem to say thank you for saving him, but then he became depressed. So Noah thought, how can I boost my morale? How can I make myself feel better? This is terrible. There's no one in this world. It's a huge, huge world, right? So he decided he was going to plant a vineyard. He would make some wine, and obviously he's going to drink it, and it would make him feel better. What did he do? So what did he do? That actually Chachamim criticized Noah for planting a vineyard. Why? Because according to the Midrash Shimoni, is that Adam Arishon and Chava, when they ate from the forbidden tree, it was grapes. And Noah now, after Hashem saved him, he goes and he plants a vineyard. He plants grapes, and Hashem was upset. Why are you planting grapes? Plant wheat, plant vegetables, plant other fruit. Why wine? The Satan comes along. Of course, the Satan never wants to miss an opportunity. And so the Satan comes along. And the Satan says to Noah, "What are you doing, Noah?" Noah says, "I'm planting a vineyard." "Oh, you're planting a vineyard? Can I be your partner?" Sure. Noah didn't see why not. But he was to regret that very soon. Why? Because then the Satan went. He brought a lamb that he killed and he spilled the blood of the lamb onto those seeds that had just been planted. Then he went and he killed a lion and he brought again the and he spilled the blood of the lion on the seeds. Then he went and he killed a pig and he did the same thing, spilling the blood of the pig, and then he killed a donkey and he did the same thing again with the blood of the donkey. Really, the Satan was having fun at the expense of Noah. And he says, anyone who drinks wine, this is what happens. These are actually the characteristics that come on a person who drinks wine. Drinking a cup of wine is fine. Each one of us has to know how much to drink to be in control of ourselves. But a person who doesn't, then he becomes he's like a lamb. Then he's like a lion because he has no control over himself. Then he's like a pig that he gets all dirty and he's not aware of what's going on with his body, and then he's just like a donkey. And so here Rashi teaches us that Noah at the beginning of the parasha, he was praised. Noach ish tzadik betorotav. Vaitalech Elokim et Elokim Noach. Noach followed Hashem. But at the end, when Noah comes out and he's planting this vineyard, he's criticized. Why? Because he became a man of the land. He had lost all that spirituality. He lost it all. And he became a mountain man, a man who just took care of everyday things without really elevating himself. He had reached a certain level, but he lost it all. So now we are here. The lesson that here, that this parasha here is teaching us is that we go through challenges and difficult times. And because we go through difficult times, we need to know how to handle ourselves during those times. And that all depends on our choices, right? And that means it all comes down to self esteem, self love, and for us to have self esteem, for us to love others We must have self love. Without self love, we cannot love others, and we cannot fulfill the mitzvah of ve'ahavta li'reacha kamocha. And so Chachamim guide us, as usual. And the Chachamim tell us, first and foremost, it means it's most important. One needs to have self esteem. One needs to feel good about himself, to feel equal to others. Never feel that you are below others, and have positive and good feelings about oneself. Obviously, one has to be careful not to become arrogant and conceited. When one has self esteem, he realizes his own greatness and the greatness in others, the good characteristics that he has, and the good characteristics that others have, and is not criticizing others because he sees the good in others. In the Gemara, it says, one who checks himself to ensure that his behavior is above all, meaning that he does not do things that aren't proper, that are not proper, right? One must keep check of himself. Watch what you're doing, watch what you're saying, watch where you're going. Because we know that each action leads to something else. Unfortunately, one who does not have self esteem and thinks of himself below everyone else will not be careful with his behavior, will criticize, will go places not supposed to go, will do things they're not supposed to be doing. So, one who wishes to grow and go beyond his current status, he must be aware and recognize where he is standing now. Because if I know where I'm standing, then I know where I can go. But if I don't know where I'm standing, I don't know where I can go. Chachamim teach us that one has to say to himself, "Matai yagi'u ma'asai le'ma'aseh avotai." When will my deeds, my actions, reach the levels of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov? And for us women, the deeds of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. So knowing your background, knowing that one comes from good, solid ancestors, and we all come from good, solid ancestors, this knowledge gives us the push, the incentive to reach to a higher level of greatness. Just knowing what they were before. Just like I heard the story about a kid um, who's unfortunately, I mean, he was the only kid and he was very young when his father died. His father had been a religious man and his mother also. But once the father passed away, so the mother said, um, don't care anymore for kashrut, for Shabbat, for anything. And she kept on telling her son, well, you don't have time for this. You have got to be to study. You have got to become a doctor. You have got to become something. Um, make yourself something of yourself so you can take care of yourself. She wouldn't send him to shul. She sent him to public school. And things went on, but eventually, much later, on his own, he came back. He became religious. And then he found out about his father, that his father had been a religious man. Once he found out that his father had been a religious man, and how much his father had cared about mitzvot, that gave him the push that he needed. So these thoughts of knowing that we come from good stock, That alone will make a person want to do the right thing and not lower his standard. And this is very important, not to lower our standard. One must think, I am important, therefore, I can't act irresponsibly. There, there is a responsibility to each one of my actions, and I have got to take responsibility for them. Chachamim teach us, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. Hashem created this entire world for me. Yeah, me. Little me. I'm nothing. But Hashem created this world for me. He put in it everything I need to become the person Hashem wants me to become. And then Hillel says in Pirkei Avot, Im en ani li, mili. Hillel teaches us, if I don't take care of myself, who will? Who will take care of myself? Who will do what needs to be done for myself? וכשאני לעצמי, מה אני? So the world was created for me. Hashem put everything on earth at my disposal so I can serve Him and do right. If I don't take care of myself and I don't check my behavior, what am I then? What am I? Hashem has invested in me and He has great expectations. He has given me talents, capabilities. With this knowledge, one can go a long way. One's self-esteem will help him and open up his talents, his powers, that otherwise they would remain inactive. But I need to remember that. I need to know who I am, what I am capable of. And sometimes we don't know what we are capable of until we're put in a certain situation. Chachamim tell us that when the neshama goes up to Shamayim after 120 years, the neshama will be asked a few questions. And one of them is, why weren't you so and so? So for me, Hashem is going to ask me, why weren't you Ruth Afriat? Why you are not Ruth Afriat? Ruth Afriat is supposed to achieve so much and so much, and you didn't. Why not? So according to Hashem, I am supposed to be at a certain level and should have achieved certain milestones in my lifetime. Hashem will ask me why I didn't. Why did I not achieve those milestones? Where do negative thoughts come from then? If all this is really what Hashem is expecting of me and there's so much in me, so why am I not achieving? Where do these negative thoughts come from? And Chachamim teach us, they come from discouragement. One who has self-esteem, so we see here how important it is to have good self-esteem. So one who has low self-esteem robs himself of growing, maturing, and achieving his full potential. It is told of the Chazon Ish, he passed away in 1952, and he was a great tzaddik from Poland who had moved to Eretz Israel before the Second World War. He lived in Bnei Brak. He never had any children, but he was a very, very caring person. And one day he wrote a letter to one of his students. That student happened to be very anad, very, very humble. So he wrote like this: it would be better for you to have a little bit of ga'ava, to be a little conceited. Because if you had a little ga'ava, then you could use that to fight your Yetzer Hara, to fight your laziness. and achieve what needs to be done. That's what he wrote. That's how much we need to push ourselves. One trait that will motivate a person to keep growing is self love. Without self love, we cannot love other people. No way, we can't. One must love himself to be able to grow. Use your talent, your powers, feel happy and fulfilled. The lack of fulfillment really hurts us. So feel fulfilled, then one will be honored a little bit. People will recognize who we are for who we are. Obviously, we need to be careful not to become conceited, not to become arrogant, but instead focus on our strengths and our good qualities, and be brave to stand up for yourself and for what is right. One who has low self esteem. Sorry, I want to explain to tell you here again a small story that I heard, which really impressed me very much. This child that I was telling you about, um, who became religious but grew up non religious because his father passed away and the mother just gave up, unfortunately. And so he says when he was in college, he had already started keeping Shabbat and everything. And he decided that he's going to keep his kippah on. In the 1960s, it wasn't that easy, but he didn't care. He said, I am a Jew first. My profession is going to be a doctor, but first I am a Jew. And so um, he started classes. And one day the teacher said that they were going to have a test. The test was going to be on Shabbat. So right after class, this boy, this young man goes over to the teacher and says, "Look, I'm a religious Jew. I cannot take the test on Shabbat." He says, "Okay, no problem." The teacher himself was also Jewish. He was not observant, but he said, "That's okay. You can take it on Sunday." There was another Jewish boy also in the class, but this boy did not keep his kippah in class. So he went over and he said, "Look, I can't take the test on Shabbat. So sorry, you have to take it. If you don't, I'll fail you." I said, "But you gave permission to the other boy. Why you didn't give me my permission? That's not fair." He says, "It is because you are religious only when it's convenient to you. The other young man, he kept his kippah the whole time. He didn't care. You took off your kippah. You keep it on only when it's convenient for you. Yeah, a Jew is conveniently religious. So for that, I'm not going to inconvenience myself for you. So no, you have to take it." So you see how when we stand up for what is right, things work out at the end. One who has low self esteem needs to watch out for people who are going to flatter him because he has such a low self esteem that he's going to believe everything that everyone else is going to say, right? Those people actually are flattering him only to use him, but he doesn't realize that. He's so hungry for flattery, right? And one who has low self-esteem has a hard time accepting criticism. It's okay to accept criticism. We're not perfect, and there'll be times where we may not do the things uh, that we want them. Um, Maybe it's a mistake, or maybe we didn't look carefully at the situation. Whatever it is, but if we don't, if we make a mistake and someone comes over and tells us that we have done wrong, then that has to be accepted. That is part of taking responsibility for our actions. And that's how we keep watch and we are careful with our behavior. חכמים teach us, איזהו מכובד המכבד את הבריות. You want to, who is honored? One who honors people. So if I honor myself and I love myself, then I'm capable of honoring others and loving others. The Pirkei Avot teaches us that man is loved by Hashem. Humankind is loved by Hashem. Why? Because they have been, this is Rabbi Akiva who's teaching this to us, because we have been created B'Tselem Elokim, by the image of Hashem. Hashem has given us a neshama, so Hashem loves us regardless. And regardless of our social status, whether we're rich or poor, smart or not so smart, accomplished or not, successful or not, it is a Torah obligation to be aware of our greatness. Not only to be aware of our greatness, there are hundreds of stories of great Chachamim who, when they were young, they had a very hard time with their learning. They could not understand, they couldn't focus, or they could not remember. Everything inside their mind was just like one big mush. But they prayed and they prayed and they continued and they failed and they picked themselves up and they again and again and again until at the end. And they reviewed and reviewed and reviewed until at the end they became successful. So this is really the lesson we learn from Noah. Make the good choices, number one. Really, number one is really to have good self-esteem, and then we make good choices. Making good choices has a lot to do with self-esteem. So may Hashem help each and every one of us to be aware of his own greatness and grow in Torah and mitzvot, thereby having shalom with ourselves, with our families, with friends and neighbors, and at the same time, shalom is so crucial so we can have shalom ba'aretz. If there is shalom among us and we forgive other people, Hashem will give us shalom be'eretz Yisrael.